The holographic display flickered in the dimly lit chamber of the Galactic Council, showing the smoldering remains of Earth's last orbital defense station. The 7 members of the council leaned back in their bioengineered seats, their various forms of expressions all conveying the same sentiment: satisfaction. The human resistance has been crushed, announced Vex Thor, the reptilian representative from Draco's Prime. His forked tongue tasted the air, savoring the moment of victory. Their pathetic fleet lies scattered across the void, their homeworld defenseless. After 3 centuries of defiance, humanity will finally kneel. The other council members nodded in agreement. The insectoid hive queen clicked her mandibles in approval. The crystalline entity from Silica 7 resonated with harmonious tones of triumph. Even the ethereal voidwalker, whose species rarely showed emotion, rippled with what could only be described as smug contentment. Commander Zara Chen's battered transport ship drifted silently through the debris field, its engines powered down to minimal levels. Through the viewport, she watched the Council's victory broadcast being transmitted across every occupied world in the sector. Her jaw clenched as she saw images of human prisoners being paraded through alien streets, of colonies reduced to ash, of the blue-green jewel of Earth surrounded by the crimson ships of the Council Armada. "They think it's over," whispered Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez from the co-pilot seat, his voice barely audible over the soft hum of life support systems. "Let them think that," Zara replied, her fingers dancing across the navigation console. "That's exactly what we need them to believe." The Council had made a fundamental miscalculation. They had studied human history, observed their wars, analyzed their strategies. They believed they understood the species that called themselves humanity. They saw the destruction of the defense stations, the scattering of the fleet, the occupation of the colonies, and concluded that the war was won. But they had never truly understood what it meant to be human. 3 months earlier, when it became clear that conventional warfare would lead only to extinction, the human leadership had made an impossible choice. They had implemented Protocol Lazarus, a plan so desperate, so audacious, that many had called it madness. While the Council's attention was focused on the spectacular military defeats humanity staged for them, thousands of ships had slipped away into the darkness of space, carrying with them not soldiers or weapons, but something far more valuable. Hope. Zara's transport was one of 300 vessels that had scattered to the far reaches of the galaxy, each carrying precious cargo, not just supplies and equipment, but the collective knowledge, culture, and genetic diversity of humanity. Children cryo-frozen in sleep pods. Data cores containing every book, every song, every piece of human achievement. Seeds from Earth's dying ecosystems. And most importantly, the coordinates to rendezvous points scattered across uncharted space. The Council celebrated their victory for exactly 47 hours before the first reports began to arrive. A mining colony on the edge of Council space reported strange signals. A patrol ship investigating an asteroid field discovered freshly constructed installations where none should exist. Trade routes that had been reliable for centuries suddenly became haunted by ghost ships that appeared and disappeared without a trace. Vex Thor stood before the Council chamber, his earlier confidence replaced by barely concealed fury. "How is this possible? We destroyed their infrastructure. We annihilated their fleet. Where are these facilities coming from?" The Hive Queen's compound eyes gleamed with something that might have been respect. "They deceived us. While we were crushing their visible forces, they were planting seeds throughout the galaxy." 5 years after the Council's victory, those seeds had grown into a network that spanned dozens of systems. Humanity hadn't been defeated, they had evolved. No longer confined to a single world or even a single sector, they had become something the Council had never encountered, a truly distributed civilization. Zara stood on the bridge of the newly christened Earth's Remembrance, the flagship of the reformed human fleet. It bore no resemblance to the clunky military vessels of old Earth. This ship had been built in secret shipyards hidden in nebulae and dead systems, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from a dozen alien species and improved upon with human ingenuity. "All vessels report ready, Commander," Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were about to do. Around them, invisible to the naked eye but clear on their sensor displays, 3,000 ships materialized from quantum stealth. Each vessel represented a different human settlement, a different chapter in the story of survival and adaptation. They had come from every corner of the galaxy, unified by a single purpose. The Council's fleet, confident in their dominance, had grown complacent. Their sensors didn't detect the trap until it was too late. Human ships appeared above every Council homeworld simultaneously, not to conquer or destroy, but to deliver a message. Zara's face appeared on every screen throughout Council space. Her voice was calm, measured, carrying the weight of humanity's defiance. You thought destroying our home would destroy us. You were wrong. You cannot defeat an idea. You cannot conquer a dream. We are humanity, and we are everywhere. We are the miners on the edge of your territories. We are the traders in your markets. We are the engineers maintaining your stations. We survived because we adapted. We thrived because we refused to surrender. She paused, letting her words sink in across 100 worlds. This is not an invasion. This is a declaration. Humanity claims its right to exist among the stars. You can choose to acknowledge this reality peacefully, or you can learn, as we did, what it truly costs to fight for survival. The Council chambers fell silent. The smiles that had graced their faces during their victory celebration were long gone. In their place was a dawning realization that they had not defeated humanity, they had merely transformed it into something far more formidable. Vexthor slumped in his seat, finally understanding the truth. We didn't drive them to extinction, he whispered. We drove them to evolution. The Hive Queen's mandibles clicked softly, a sound her species made when acknowledging a superior strategy. They sacrificed their present to ensure their future. We should have known a species willing to die for an idea will always find a way to survive. Commander Zara Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Council's response. Earth was gone, yes, but humanity endured. They had arrived, not as conquerors, but as survivors who refused to be erased from the cosmic stage. And the Council, despite their earlier confidence, finally understood that they had never been fighting a war they could win.